everyone. Thanks for watching my 2 cents about safety with Bruno No BS. Today we're going to talk about roof kettle safety. My guest today is my friend John Kenney with over 45 years in roofing. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Bruno. How you been?
I'm doing good. So far, so good. Can't complain. So I'm going to play this video and you let me know what you think about this video, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. So tell me, what went wrong with this video?
Well, Bruno, appears to me the way the fire is spread all over the ground and around it, that the kettle was probably near full, and it was probably, and this is only conjecture based on experience, it was probably left unattended with the burner on. The heat got up over a certain level, and of course she flared up. That's what happens to kettles. They get above their flash point. And then they probably being unattended is what allowed it to get out of control, because kettle fires are easily extinguished if you're on, if you're prepared for it. So that's what it looks like to me.
Have you seen that a lot in all the years you're working in the industry?
Yeah, well, I mean, kettle fires are nothing new. You don't have as many kettles out there today as you used to back when we first started, because everything was built up. But the biggest problem you run into with a kettle fire is exactly that. You leave the burner on when she gets near flash point, and once once it hits, if you don't get that lid closed and get the oxygen, you got to starve the oxygen. That's the only way to put a kettle fire out. Or they may have thrown water on that. That's the other thing I don't know, because we weren't there for that part watching the video. Water will make it flare up even worse. You cannot put water on a kettle fire. So some of the things that we used to do, one is, even before you had OSHA telling you how many fire extinguishers, we always carried multiple fire extinguishers, and we also carried fire powder, which was the fire extinguisher powder in a box. They were great for kettle fires, because the whole purpose of a kettle fire is to get it extinguished. And the easiest way to do it is you shut off the heat. That's number one. If the lid is closed and she's bubbling up under it, you want to carefully open the lid up and get either a fire extinguisher and shoot it, or you shovel in the fire powder if you run out of fire extinguisher. Shut the lid, seal it, oxygen goes down, your fire will go out.
Tell me in a short version, what would be the right way to start a procedure on a kettle? Like if you like roofing today, what would you start at your, like you used to call back in the days, kettle boy, right? So what would be the function and what would be the right way to do it?
Well, you first want to make an inspection before you even start the heat up. You want to make sure the lid actually closes tight, because sometimes kettle lids get warped from usage with heat. So if you have a warped lid, let's face it, a roofer's probably still going to use it because you got to get the job done. But at least you're prepared to know you have to have another way of sealing that lid if you do get a fire. Hopefully you have a working temperature gauge on it. But if it's a cold kettle and you're heating it up, the temperature gauge will not work until the entire kettle gets liquefied. So the way to do it is, when you're heating a cold kettle, is you turn the heat on, and it takes longer to heat. You have to be patient and start building the heat up as the liquid starts to melt from the top down, which it will. It'll start to bubble. The heat comes up through it. As you start to get liquid, don't get overzealous and crank the heat up, because if you crank it up, you're going to catch it on fire. So if you do slow heating, proper heating the way it is, that's why back in the day we always had the kettle man hit the job an hour or two before the actual roofers were going to, or if it was a tear off, you had time to get the kettle going. Other than that, nothing's really changed. The kettle's a kettle. The procedures are the same. Absolutely have to have a face shield on. You should have full dress, long sleeves, full dress pants, dungarees, cotton, something that's heavy. You have to have work boots on, of course, and you want to wear a face shield, and you want to have your head protected. So that's a must with a kettle.
In case you have a spit on you, what would be, of course, calling 911, but what would be the first thing to do?
Well, if you have, you're talking about if it splares back and it hits you
hit you on the arm, for instance.
Yeah. Well, if you actually have long sleeve shirts and gloves and all that on like you're supposed to, you're probably in good shape. But if you don't, the first thing you need to do is you need to cool it. So if you got a skin burn, tar burn, if you're up on a roof or even on a kettle and you get a tar burn, the first thing you have to do is cool it. The easiest way to do that is with cold water. You got to chill it down, because that tar will cool on the surface, but the underside will continue to burn through your skin down through your layers to your bone if you don't get it cooled off.
That will not be a good scenario, right?
Yep. Now I've had that happen.
Why we don't see kettles anymore?
Just the way the industry's going. Single plies came out in the 70s, took hold with the EPDMs, and then of course you got your reflective roofings with TPOs and PVCs, and coatings also are more market. And it's just changing marketplace. There's still a place for it. Modifieds can still go down in hot. There are still parts of the country and even Canada where hot asphalt is still very popular. It's just lost its market share because the industry has progressed to different types of systems.
You still miss the smell of the kettle?
Well, I'm still one of the old timers that said smells like money. There's nothing better than hearing, smelling asphalt. Pitch is another story.
There you go. Thank you so much, buddy. It was a pleasure talking to you again. God bless you, my friend.
You too. Thank you.
Be
Anytime.
safe out there. No kettle for you, brother.
All right, buddy.